Now we're in this sort of funny season of late season allegations, and we've seen lately allegations that Trump has groped women, all this sorts of things about disrespecting dead soldiers, things like that. But it all seems very coordinated, all of this. But it also seems really cheap. And I'd love to have your input on what you think of this strategy of the Harris team and the Democrats. Just get any allegation they can out of the closet and throw it at the man.
Well, cheap is a great word. That's an excellent way to describe it. We've seen this movie before. It is the same usual suspects. It's the same kinds of accusations. The problem is, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You say something over and over again. You do something that is cheap over and over again. And the American people begin to recognize what your problem is. In this particular case, I think that there's, first of all, the comments about the military have been completely debunked by people who were present at the time. All of those allegations are made either by one person with no witnesses or with witnesses who said that was not true. It's published, by the way, a couple of the allegations are published by The Atlantic, which is owned by Laurene Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' widow, who is a very BFF, best friend forever, with Kamala Harris. She is a major donor to Kamala Harris. So while The Atlantic does not have a so-called fake news history, it seems that people are taking that into consideration. But I think that when it comes to, look, we know Donald Trump is imperfect. We've heard certain allegations. We understand what his problems have been in the past. And what the Democrats have found is that Americans love him anyway. None of us are perfect, but these allegations, it's very similar with Kamala Harris and the Justice Kavanaugh confirmation hearing. And it was ugly. It was meant to destroy reputation. They were accusations without witnesses 30 some years later. And my problem as a feminist is that the use of sexual violence or sexual assault as a political cudgel, weaponized to get for personal gain, is obscene. It harms the issue itself, and it damages the issue, which is an important issue. And Americans, I have to say, we've heard it all about him. They've spent all of that currency, and Americans right now, they're and appropriately, smears and this kind of gossip doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't put gas in your car. It doesn't stop the government sending your children off to wars that did not have to happen. It doesn't support our friends in Israel. If you're concerned about Ukraine, it doesn't do any of that. And yet that's all they have. Trump, in the meantime, is ignoring it. He's moving forward on the issues, the nature of the economy. And Americans have gotten it finally right, that this is about the issues, and they want solutions, and that's why Trump is ahead.
Yeah, and Tammy, I got to ask you, too, about some of this disastrous town hall that Kamala Harris held. Have a quick look at this here.
My question is this. If you could accomplish only one major policy goal that required congressional action, what would it be and why?
Well, there's not just one. I have to be honest with you, Carol. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, but I think that maybe part of this point how I think about it is we've got to get past this era of politics and partisan politics, slowing down what we need to do in terms of progress in our country.
Well, if that woman was an undecided voter, I'll eat my hat. But she didn't have an answer to that simple question. And here's what CNN's Dana Bash, of all people, had to say.
Well, I'll just tell you what I'm hearing from people who I have been talking to, and that is that if her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that.
How are they missing these simple questions? I mean, they spent 3 days prepping for this town hall, and she still flubbed this stuff.
Look, and if any of your viewers, you, me, if we were running for president, we'd be chock full of ideas. We would have everything lined up because it's not a forever job. And she's been the vice president for 4 years. She was a senator before that, a district attorney, an attorney general. And she doesn't know, she can't answer that question. Now, I believe that she has an answer to that question. And just like in 2020, never was brought up, well, they hated what Trump was doing at the border. They never brought up what they were going to do. It was an unsaid thing, but it seems to have been their main plan, which was on the first day to reverse all of Trump's border policies, causing many of the catastrophes in this nation to this day. And yet, not one word was issued, not one word was spoken about that agenda. So my warning to people is that this isn't just a woman who doesn't, I think that she has some issues cognitively to some degree, but I think that she's choosing to not reveal what they will be doing. And at least, I mean, I give her props to not wanting to lie outright to people, but it's what's not said right now that Americans are concerned about. And that's what they have to look for. So Americans don't like it.
I think that's exactly right, Tammy, and I think people are catching on. Tammy Bruce, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.